Good morning, my beautiful friends. Welcome to day 18 of the Celtic 40-day Advent calendar, or day 2 or 3, day 3 of the traditional Advent calendar. So, when I first opened this up this morning, I thought, wow, Grock has really gotten this wrong because I have absolutely no idea what this whole day is talking about. But I did a little bit of research, and then I discovered what it was talking about, and I thought, what a good lesson overall. So I would say in the vetting of the Advent calendar that Grock doesn't do a good job of explaining what it is we're looking at here on day 18 or day 3, depending on which one you're doing. But with a little bit of research and a little bit of thought and reflection, it kind of all comes together. So right now, in addition to my Advent studies, I'm also reading Deepak Chopra's, I guess that's how you say his name, 7 Spiritual Laws. And last night I was reading about karma and how everything that we do is a choice. Everything that we do is a choice. Lighting a candle, that's a choice. Getting a tissue, that's a choice. Everything that we do is a choice, and we should be mindful of the choices that we make. And a lot of times we move through life not being, super present, so we don't really recognize that everything that we do is a choice. And I was reminded of that in this story for today. So the feast saint that Grock mentions is the Salmon of Knowledge, River Dee, and I had absolutely no idea what that meant. And the essay snippet, the Salmon of Knowledge leaps in the River Dee, I had no idea what that meant. So I did a little Scooby-Doo work, and I looked it up, and Gemini gave me, a kind of a quick story about the Salmon of Knowledge, which I had never heard of before. And it's about a hero named Finn I'm terrible at pronouncing Gaelic names. Finn MacCumhaill gaining all the world's wisdom. And basically, it talks about the river Boyne, but that changes to the River Dee. That's where the River Dee comes from. But the narrative is the same. The salmon leaps into the hands of the hero after being caught by a poet named Finnegas. So there's this quest where this poet, Finnegas, has been spent 7 years fishing this river Boyne for this magical salmon of knowledge, which had eaten some stories say all 9 hazelnuts, some stories say 1 hazelnut that fell into the well of wisdom, and this salmon had gained all the world's wisdom. And he finally catches it and instructs his young apprentice, Finn, to cook it without eating any of it. So this young apprentice had asked him, in another story that I read, that, well, why are you trying to catch the salmon? Wouldn't it just be easier to find the tree where these hazelnuts were? And the poet explains, well, that would be easier, but we don't know where the tree is. You have to catch the salmon to know where the tree is. So there's this whole story about, catching the fish, and so now this young apprentice is cooking the fish. Now he's told not to eat it, right? And he doesn't, but he's cooking the fish, and he's turning the fish, and in turning the fish, he burns his hand, and he goes to put his thumb in his mouth to, cool it off because he had burnt it. And in that act, in that choice that he unconsciously makes, he gains all of the wisdom of the world. And so, this wise Finn then has all the wisdom of the world. So that's the story. I had never heard this story. I had looked it up, of course, in different places. Wikipedia has a whole thing about the Salmon of Knowledge. The Emerald Isle site had a whole thing about the Salmon of Knowledge. I had absolutely no idea, had never heard of it. But I thought about, the young apprentice and how, he instinctively put his thumb in his mouth to cool it off because he had burned it. And in that choice and that act made unconscious, he didn't consciously think of it as a choice. He was doing what he was told and cooking the fish, and he didn't eat it. He was careful, not to eat it, of course. But in that split second, the choice that he made led him to gaining all the world's knowledge. So how is that so very interesting, in comparison or in relation to what we're studying today? Now, the prayer for today is, give me wisdom deeper than 7 rivers. I don't know what the significance of 7 rivers is, but give me wisdom deeper than 7 rivers. Give me wisdom deeper than 7 rivers. Amen. And, I often think of the phrase, in all things seek wisdom, which is a part of some psalm somewhere. And I always think about that when people say, which spiritual gift do you want? It is, of course, to seek wisdom. So the hymn for the day is this Salmon Psalm, which is on YouTube, and that link did work. So that's very interesting. So I'll link that below. It's about 5 minutes long. And where am I at? And then the journal prompt for today, and again, I've not been a huge fan of these journal prompts. Eat one bite mindfully, what wisdom swam into your mouth. I have absolutely no plans to do any of that. But I did already check out today's alignment calendar of light, and it's a beautiful, and I'll link this below. It's a beautiful short video about a woman who is from Afghanistan and had to leave her homeland. And I think she's either has moved to Australia or is moving to Australia. But the choices that she's had to make along the way in her quest for wisdom and healing, and the bravery it takes to leave your homeland with nothing to work toward building a better world. So that's very inspirational, and I will link that below as well. The blessing for the day, the Scottish Gaelic blessing, is blessing of God be with you. And of course the Gaelic is there for you as well. And as you go into this day, just think about the ways, think about all the things we choose throughout the day, every choice that we make, no matter how big or small. Think about the choices that we make willingly, without thinking about them, and decide how those choices impact our whole day. So that's my plan for the day, and that's also what I'm going to journal about. Anyway, I am wishing you all the very best in light and love. Have an amazing day. Bye-bye.